שלוש ניקוד אחת ניקוד ג' הזה הלחם אשר אתה אוכל? הזה הלחם אשר אתה אוכל? Have you had the experience of buying a commodity from a merchant and needing to clarify to that merchant which among various items was the particular one you were interested in? Perhaps it was an item of food behind a glass case or a particular garment among several garments. This segment will enable you to describe and distinguish which commodity among several you are interested in, as if you were on a shopping trip interacting with a merchant. In this activity, you will take turns being at times the merchant and at times the customer. Let's begin by looking at the inventory list, because from that list you'll be able to make a selection as far as what sort of merchant you wish to be for the purposes of this activity. Here's the inventory list. Notice the three columns. Starting from the right, the first is a column involving kali or kelim. Each item under that heading belongs to the general category of kali or plural kelim. If you decide to take on the role of merchant of kelim, then customers coming to you will understand that they can procure from you any of the items that are listed in that column. Let's go ahead and read them over right now. Kos, kosot, kos, kosot. Bakbuk, bakbukim, bakbuk, bakbukim. Sak, sakim, sak, sakim. Teror, terorot, teror, terorot. Aron, aronot, aron, aronot. For the purposes of this activity, it is not necessary to memorize all of these. Simply be aware of them. Some of them you know already. You'll see that some have meanings supplied, and for some which you know already, the meanings have been withheld to encourage you to stimulate your memory. Let's go to the second column, for which the heading is Ish, Anashim. If this is the line of business that interests you, consider yourself a well-connected community person who can, for a slight fee, introduce your customer to prominent individuals in these various occupations. Perhaps your customer hopes to secure employment with one of these persons. Melech, Melachim, Melech, Melachim. Navi, Nevi'im, Navi, Nevi'im. Ro'eh, Ro'im, Ro'eh, Ro'im. Yotzer, Yotzrim, Yotzer, Yotzerim. Malach, Malachim, Malach, Malachim. The third option for a business role involves commodities of lechem, peri, peri, basar, basarim, basar, basarim, dag, dagim, dag, dagim, devash, devash, gevina, gevina. Again, please select one of these three lines of business as the line of business that you will represent when you engage this activity in class. You will introduce yourself, indicate your line of business, and then the classmate, who is acting as a customer, will review the various items which pertain to your particular line of business, and then will select one which he or she is interested in. Now, this selection will take place mentally, not aloud, so it will be your role as an astute merchant to try and ferret out from this customer which is the particular item in the list which interests them, And that is what the dialogue will enable you to uncover. After all, how can you make a sale and how can you meet this customer's need if you don't know what it is they're interested in? Let's look at the model exchange that appears just above the inventory list. After your customer has mentally made a selection from among the various items in your particular business line, then you as the merchant will point to one of them on the list and inquire, Hazeh hakali asher ata chafetz? Hazeh hakali asher ata chafetz? If you're addressing a female customer, then you would say, Hazeh hakali asher at chafetza? Hazeh hakali asher at chafetza? Now that model example, as you may have deduced, would apply in case you were a merchant involving the commodities of kelim. Your classmate customer would observe to which of the kelim you were pointing and then would compare that to the mental selection that he or she has made and would respond either affirmatively, Zeh hakali, or if you have guessed the wrong subcomponent of the kelim list, then negatively the customer would respond, Lo zeh hakali, lo zeh hakali. Of course, you will want to adjust the model based on which line of business you opt for. In case you're having difficulty as a merchant isolating which particular item your customer classmate is interested in, you may just resort to the following question under the heading Model Follow-up in order to ascertain what it is that he or she is interested in. Ma chafetz ata? Ma chafetz ata? Or if your customer is female, Ma chafetza at? Ma chafetza at? To this point, we've cast the exchange as only isolating a single commodity, a single item. If instead you wish to ask your customer whether or not there are a couple of items or more, a plural group in which they're interested in, then you would need to use the plural of your line of business. So if instead of asking, is this the container you want, you wish to say, are these the containers that you want? Then the model that you see displayed on the screen before you, the plural model, will be the expression you would find most useful. Ha'ele, ha'kelim, asher ata chafetz? Ha'ele, ha'kelim, asher ata chafetz? Notice the word ele, meaning these, and then using the plural form of the commodity, kelim. If asking this of a woman, it would read, Ha'ele, ha'kelim, asher at chafetza? Ha'ele, ha'kelim, asher at chafetza? If you have pointed out the correct containers, plural, then your customer will affirm, Ele hakelim, Ele hakelim. If you have deduced incorrectly, then the customer would reply negatively, Lo ele hakelim, lo ele hakelim. The words that we've been using to isolate particular products or commodities are known as demonstrative pronouns. They demonstrate or point out which among several items is the item that is being referred to. The following paragraphs will unfold what you've seen already in the model questions and responses for this merchant-customer exercise. Notice, first of all, the basic vocabulary. To say this, when referring to a masculine noun or object, the demonstrative pronoun is ze, ze. If plural, these, the demonstrative pronoun is ele, ele. In the vocabulary, you see an optional definite article supplied in case the particular expression which you're making requires it. Ze and ele, both masculine. The first is singular, the second is plural. If instead of referring to this, you want to point out something different, using the equivalent of that, then Hebrew will employ the word who. And yes, this resembles and is the same as the pronoun for third masculine singular, translating as he. It serves also as the demonstrative pronoun masculine singular, the one which would be referring to something either further away in time or in space, that. The plural form for that is also a pronoun, heim. Again, this is the masculine plural. You'll be learning the feminine forms a little bit later. It's helpful to think of these demonstrative pronouns as operating like adjectives. Do you recall how it was possible with simply a noun and an adjective to form an entire sentence? Consider this one. Tov hakali. Tov hakali. The container is good. If we were to replace the adjective tov with the demonstrative pronoun ze, forming the sentence ze hakali, we once again would have a complete sentence, although without any verb. Ze hakali means this is the container. Another capability of adjectives in connection with nouns was to make what we called a simple description, an attributive use of the adjective. So, for example, if we were to say hakali hatov, we wind up with a simple descriptive phrase, not an entire sentence. Hakali hatov would mean the good container. No verb at all, either in English or in Hebrew. Now, if we were to replace that adjective with a demonstrative pronoun, so that instead of hakali hatov, we have hakali hazeh, we once again have a simple description without any sentence, just an adjective phrase, attributive use of, in this case, the demonstrative pronoun. And that would mean this container. Hakali hazeh, this container. Please notice carefully the three parts that govern how a demonstrative pronoun in this usage, merely modifying it, merely making a description, not making a sentence. Notice these three principles which will guide us for correct use in forming these sort of descriptions. Part A, the demonstrative pronoun must follow the noun. So in the phrase hakali hazeh, kali comes first, ze comes second. Second, both of them will have an article, both the noun and the demonstrative pronoun, just as it would have with an adjective. Hakali hatov, now it's hakali hazeh. And finally, letter C, the demonstrative pronoun must match the noun in gender. Kali is masculine, ze is masculine also. Later on you will learn the feminine demonstrative pronoun. It is zot. And just by hearing that difference, you can tell that ze has been selected, zot has been not selected, because it would not have matched kali, which is masculine. As was commented a bit ago concerning the vocabulary terms for demonstrative pronouns, ze and ele, these describe objects that are near, either near in time or near in space. If instead you wish to refer to something farther away in time or farther away in space, then there are different words which you would use, namely hu and heim. Hu for masculine singular, heim for masculine plural. Let's take a look at those. So we see that to say that person or that man, we would say ha'ish hahu. That is a simple adjective description, not a complete sentence. Ha'ish hahu, that person or that man. If it's not an individual but a group, those, Hebrew would use the plural masculine pronoun haim. Can mean either they or those. So, Hamelachim hahem would mean those kings. Hamelachim hahem. Here's a little biblical puzzle for you. If the word hadvarim means the words, can you surmise what ele hadvarim would mean? Ele hadvarim.